And so the same thing that has the capacity to make you smaller, to silence you, to make your life worse, these same set of circumstances have the ability to catapult us to our next level, to show us things we never knew about ourselves, to make us the people we never thought we could be. I think that for me, maybe 10 years ago, if somebody had told me that I would be in the place I am now, guiding and teaching other people and all the things I do, I would have been very surprised. But the difficulties of life, the things that happened to me, some way, somehow, did not bury me, but rather brought out something in me that I never knew was there before. And so it's like that for every one of us. There are things that are hidden inside of us. It is the storms of life that will unearth those treasures for us. At the same time, we should be careful because these same storms can bury us or silence us. There are people who have been overcome by their life circumstances and they have never been able to recover again. We also spoke about premature commitment. We mentioned that we are relating it to the story in the book where the king of Salem told the shepherd that you can't promise me what you don't have, because he wanted the boy to pay him for something he was going to do for him. And then the boy was like, oh, when I get the treasure, I'll give you 10%. I've already promised the gypsy woman 10%. And the king told him that you can't promise people what you don't have. The moment you start promising people something that is not already in your hands, you weaken your resolve to work hard to get it. And your mind also plays a trick on you that you've already received it. And so it's a step into failure to start to promise people what you don't have. The best way to live life is to do or use what you have now, today. That is the only thing that we are guaranteed. And once you know that it is only 10 pesos I have today, it is only 50 pesos I have to work with, it gives you the gusto to want to work and do better. Because when you start building on what has not already happened, your mind will just lie to you that it's already in your hands. And so never, never, never promise people something that you don't already have. Don't plan with something you don't have. Always work with what you have. We also learned about truth. We learned that sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, all the time when we hear the truth, especially when it is truth that we have not come to terms with about ourselves, when it is truth that we are uncomfortable with, we don't want to face, when we hear it from other people, we become very defensive, we become tense, we become agitated. And it is because we are giving excuses for ourselves. It is because we fear that we are going to be exposed. It is because our comfort zone is threatened. Anytime we hear the truth, it may be from your pastor, it can be from a friend, it can be from your loved one. But anytime somebody tells you a truth that you are afraid to confront, it makes you angry, it makes you irritated, it makes you not like the person who is telling you the truth. But we all need to come to that place where no matter how uncomfortable a truth is, we sit down with it, we think through it, and then we identify. We need to be comfortable with the truths that are not sweet. And that is where we start to grow. I think the last thing we learned last week was about the wisdom of choosing silence. And the passage said that sometimes it's better to leave things as they are. This is the boy thinking. And really in life, it is not every time that we need to speak. There are certain times in life where it is better to keep quiet. Even the Bible says that even a fool is considered wise when he remains silent. This is Proverbs 17:28. And we said that sometimes silence is wisdom. Sometimes silence is security. Sometimes silence is maturity. And there are times when silence is obedience. Security in the sense that there are some times when you say some things, then it threatens your own life. Look at the story of Joseph. Someone Nyamukai Joseph. He had a dream. Joseph had a dream, and he at that time he had not learned how to keep quiet. So he went around telling all of his siblings the dream. And the moment he told them the dream, his life was threatened. And yen nyame na edi Joseph echi anka. Saa daye na oso ye na obie na no ka kire ne nuanom no, they would have killed him. So there are times when you need to keep quiet until whatever God has put in your heart, whatever vision He has given you comes to pass. The people you are with, once they know you are carrying that kind of dream, they will kill it. And that is why I always used to wonder why our older women, when the woman is pregnant, they will tell her that don't tell anybody you are. I even know people that when they are 7 months, 8 months pregnant, when you ask them, they'll tell you they are not pregnant, because they have this belief that something that is not fully evolved or completed, you have to be quiet about it. And truly, truly, there are some things that we need to be quiet about. And so today we are going to move forward from where we left off. This is just a recap of what we learned last week. And we are reading something from page 139. Please, if you have your books, you can refer, but I'll read a passage. And this time we are talking about the differences between limitations, between seeing limitations and seeing possibilities. Can I help you? Asked the man behind the window. Maybe tomorrow, said the boy, moving away. If he sold just one of his sheep, he would have enough to get to the other shore of the strait. The idea frightened him. Another dreamer, said the ticket seller to his assistant, watching the boy walk away. He doesn't have enough money to travel. So in this passage, short passage we read, the shepherd boy was still thinking about traveling to Africa, going to find treasure. And he wandered to the shop where they sold the tickets that would take him to Africa. And the people who are around us, they look at just us, the way we are today with our limitations. Sometimes it's not even true what they think about us, but they think they know. In the passage, the ticket seller assumed that the boy did not have money. But really, the boy had money. If he could sell just one sheep, he could buy the ticket. And that is the reality. People will look at you and they'll think that whatever you want to do, you don't have what it takes to be that person. Sometimes it is true you don't have it, because genuinely when you are a dreamer, you don't start off with possessions, you don't start off with money. The only thing you start off with is your dream that is in your heart and the faith you have that your dream will come to pass. And a lot of the time, it is only you who knows what is in your heart, what you want to achieve. The rest of the people would not know. Some of them cannot even imagine that Benedict wants to be, let's say, the first president in Ghana. Like, how? Who is Benedict? Where is he coming from? Who is his mother? Who is his father? And so people will look at you, they'll look at the dream you have, they'll look at what your life looks at right now, the things you don't have, and they'll be like, this boy is a dreamer. Sometimes they think you are a fool. Sometimes they think that you have lost your senses. And that is a reality we all have to face. The seller was looking at Santiago through the lenses of lack. He was not wearing the lenses of possibility. He was not wearing the lenses of dreams that can come true. He was not looking at the boy through the possibility of what this young life could do. All he could see at that point was the boy, the way he was, the way he was dressed, the way he walked, and the fact that he said he can't buy the ticket today, so he does not have the money for the ticket. So for everyone out there, sometimes people will look at what you want to do and what you have, and they will shake their head and tell you that this one, you cannot do it. But you alone know what God has put in your heart, and what people say should be none of your business. The passage reveals how society looks at people who are visionaries. They label dreamers as unrealistic. They think that they are living in cloud nine, a world of their own. Sometimes they think that dreamers are naive, or they are foolish, they are impractical. And it is because people look at us through their own limitation. The person looking at you knows that they can never have that discipline to go to law school and become a lawyer. And so, because they know in their heart that they don't have that discipline and that stamina to go through these storms of life to get to the other side and be what they have always wanted to be, they'll project that limitation on you and say that Benedict on. That is how people behave. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Many years ago, there were people in the house I lived. It's a typical life example, who said that this girl, who told her she can be a lawyer, who told her she can be a doctor, they could not imagine that a girl coming from this poor home who was selling kinky by the roadside could be a doctor. And they bullshitted it and pushed me aside and said that she can never be this person that she wanted to be. Many years after, when I had become a doctor, my younger brother also had the same dream. He said, I'll be a doctor. And the same people who placed those limitations on me, they placed the same limitation on my brother. They said that, oh, okay, his sister has been able to do it, but this one, he cannot do it. And so after years had passed and my brother had graduated from medical school, when they heard the news, these people were standing around in groups in the neighborhood and they were arguing. Oh, he's a doctor. I heard he graduated. This person said, no, it can't be him. Meanwhile, the person had achieved his dream. And that is how these people who place limitations on our lives are. Sometimes, even after you have achieved what you set out to achieve, they would pretend that you are not who you have become. There's no end to these people who have limitations. Even after you have become who you say you will be, they would assume that you are not that person. So the best thing is to forget and close your eyes. Pretend that there are no people like that and just focus on your dream. Only you can see your personal legend. Your personal legend here means your God-given purpose, your spiritual calling, your inner fire, your destiny, your divine assignment. So if you are going to live by the judgment of other people, you may never follow your personal legend. Before we go to the next lesson, I want to read a passage from the Bible, Genesis 37:19. And this one talks about Joseph. So this thing that happened to the shepherd boy, it is not peculiar to him. It is not peculiar to the people in the Bible. And two people are mentioned are Joseph. When he said he had had a dream, his brothers mocked him. When David was promised to be king, people looked at him and they only saw a shepherd boy. And they were like, what are the possibilities that this shepherd boy could be a king? Even Gideon, when God called him a mighty man of valor, he didn't even accept it because he thought that he could never be that person. But that is what the God we serve does. He takes our brokenness, our lives that look like nothing can come out of it, and he works in partnership with us to do the impossible. The next passage, this is a short one and we'll move to the other ones. Page 146. And we are talking about comfort versus destiny. He had to choose between something he had become accustomed to and something he wanted to have. Sometimes it's not something that you want to have, something you want to become or be. Sometimes it is something you want to do, to have, to be, to do. There was also the merchant's daughter, but she wasn't as important as his flock because she didn't depend on him. Maybe she didn't even remember him. He was sure that it made no difference to her on which day he appeared. For her, every day was the same. And here, Santiago was torn between what he was used to and what he had to become or what he had to have. We all get to that point in life, especially when God is going to move us from one level to the other. There is always something that we need to leave behind. Sometimes there are people who we think value us and we have overvalued them. In the case of the shepherd boy, he was thinking about a merchant's daughter. He thinks he loves this girl. But in this girl's mind, he probably doesn't exist because he only saw her once. And so some of us are there and we have put certain people in places in our lives we have no business putting them. And because we have placed those people there, when we are making decisions, we think about them, we factor them into our decisions. And for some of us, because of these people, there are some steps we should take. We don't even take those steps. But the people that you are factoring into your decision, they don't even think about you. You are none of their business. You are not in their orbit of concern. And so none of us should ever come to that place where somebody or some circumstance would stop us from going out there to become the people we need to be, to have the things we need to have. Sometimes it is not even something external. Sometimes what is fighting us, what is keeping us behind, what is stopping us from moving forward is our own older version. There are times when we are so much in love with our old version that we are not willing to move ahead to become the new people we need to become. Sometimes we are lazy. Sometimes we are forgetful. Sometimes we love to procrastinate. There are things about our lives that are not good enough, but we are so in love with our old version that we are not willing to move out of our comfort zone and start doing things differently. Abraham had to leave what was familiar. He had to leave his country. He had to leave his father's house. He had to follow God into his new destiny. Peter had to leave his net. His net here represents his comfort zone. It represents his livelihood. And when God calls us into another level, there is always a sacrifice to be made. Sometimes you have to leave old relationships. Sometimes you have to leave some things you were doing before. There are lies you've been telling yourself that in this new level that God is ushering you to, you have to stop telling yourself those lies and look at the truth and be comfortable with how ugly the truth is. Let's how send a bone, you have to feel it and smell it. Then you can understand that this place that I am at, it is not good for me. I have to leave this place. Look at your version today and look at the higher you and be willing to leave your old self. Mr. Abdul, your old self today, you should be willing to leave it so that you can move to a higher version of yourself. Page 147. Welcome, those of you who just came. Page 147. This passage says that when each day is the same as the next, it's because people fail to recognize the good things that happen in their lives every day that the sun rises. This one day, I'll leave it to the floor. You people will tell me what you think about it. So I'm going to read it again. When each day is the same as the next, it's because people fail to recognize the good things that happen in their lives every day that the sun rises. So people, what do you think? Lady Esther, I can see you are itching to say something. Please, Flo. Very well. Thank you so much. You are absolutely right. And before I even add on to what you have said, I will go back to the Bible. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 and 23. The Bible says that God's mercies, they are new every morning. Every morning, God gives us a fresh dose of His mercies. Don't forget that even the privilege to wake up, that privilege alone, because you may think that every day is the same, but every day is not the same. That somebody went to bed and he did not wake up. So every day is not the same. You waking up does not mean your life has become the same. No. Every sunrise brings with it new grace, new blessings, new opportunities. And I love the song that says that count your blessings one by one. Name them one by one. Just like what we said, Mubarak said, we need all to come to that place where every day we journal, we sit down for like 10, 15 minutes, and then we journal our lives. Today, what am I grateful for? Every day, you should be able to ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? There's always something positive that happened to you. Sometimes some things happen to us, you don't even see it's positive, but they are the things that bring our biggest blessings. Because you may go to work and you'll be encountered with a very stubborn patient, and they will test your patience, they will test your resilience, they will test your love for human beings. And by the time you finish dealing with that person, if you don't flare up, if you don't tell them a piece of your mind, you are able to go through handling them with grace until they leave your presence. That is progress. So no 2 days are the same. If you ever feel that way, please go back and journal gratitude. Sometimes, even intuition, you know what intuition is? When God talks to you about certain things, oh, today don't eat this watch, go and eat kinky. You think that but maybe if you are eating that watch, not the little money you have in your pocket, you now have to go and use it to buy medicine. The last thing I want us to discuss, and this is very, very it spoke to me a lot, and I hope it speaks to you too. The passage is from page 162. Then the old man began to inspect the sheep, and he saw that one was lame. He saw that one of the sheep was lame. The boy explained that it wasn't important, since that sheep was the most intelligent of the flock and produced the most wool. Let me give you a background. Have you read this part of the story? Please read, or if you read, then when we are discussing it to make more sense. And so at this point in the story, you know, the king wanted to help the boy get to Egypt. He was going to help him. And earlier on, he asked the boy what he was going to pay for helping him. Then the boy said when he gets the treasure, he'll give him 10%. And for those of you who came late, we discussed that and we said that you don't promise people what you don't have. If it is not in your hand, it is not yours to give. And that is what the king told the boy. Don't promise me something you don't have. Because the moment you promise me, then it weakens your desire to go and find it. But if you really want to pay me with something you already have. It is a profound lesson. Some of you are not here, so I want me to the boss of you. Don't promise people what you don't have. At this material moment, if you want to show somebody love, if you want to show somebody gratitude, if you want people to know how much they mean to you, today is the day. What you have today, use that one. There are some of you, your parents or the people in your lives who you love, they don't know you love them. Because you are waiting until you have $1 million, or you are waiting until you can build them a house or buy them a car. Today, what you have today, show them you love them with what you have today. Even if it is just your voice, you picking up the phone and calling them and telling them that, Mama, I love you, I appreciate you. What is it you have in your hand today? That is all you have. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Tomorrow is not promised. Today, the present. That is why it is called present. It is a gift. And so use that gift. And so the king told the boy that, don't promise me what is not in your hand yet. Give me what you have today. And so the boy said that, then I'll give you 10% of the flock I have. It is only when you promise what you already have, then we know that your heart is in the matter. When you tell people, I will give you what I will get tomorrow, you are not committed. So anytime you are dealing with somebody or somebody is dealing with you and they are promising you what they don't already have, then you know that this person, he is not committed, she is not committed. Anytime somebody is really committed to a cause, what they have, what the bottom obey. And so the king challenged the boy and told him that, give me what you already have. And the boy said that tomorrow I'll bring you 10% of my sheep. That is where this passage is coming from. So when the boy bought the sheep, then the old man began to inspect the sheep. And he saw that one was lame. Thank you. And so in this passage that we are studying, lame sheep here, it represents any kind of imperfections or flaws. It can be an imperfection in a person. It can be in a situation or circumstance. And this kind of imperfection is visible. There are some imperfections that obiani wants na ebia ohu. But this kind of imperfection, people can see it. People can feel it. The people who deal with you, they know. Obonim say Rosie or Pekasa, she is reactive. They know that you have that limitation. In all of us, we have some imperfection. In some way, we are all lame sheep. And what happens is that this imperfection or this flaw, it is inconvenient because nobody wants to. Do you want to be lame? Do you want not to be able to walk? When everybody is walking, then you are limping. No. And it is limiting. This thing would stop you from doing certain things. If it is about your leg, by the time people will get to the downstairs, you are on the first step. Into a chill sign. That is being lame. And a lot of the times, we allow the imperfections in people, sometimes our own lives, to define what our ultimate value should be. But this passage is teaching us otherwise. This passage is telling us, the boy said that although this sheep is lame, he is the most intelligent of the flock. When there's a snake, a poisonous snake or some other animal that is a danger to the rest of the flock, when there's something like it is this one who will see it and start running for the other people to follow. Those that are not lame, it is this same sheep who produce the most wool. The boy is keeping sheep not because he likes to be friends with sheep, but he's keeping it as business. He sells their wool to make money. And so this sheep is lame. He cannot walk fast like the others, but he gives him the most money per sheep. So we need to see value beyond the obvious and focus more on what matters. There are some of us, we have some flaws in our own lives, and we are focusing so much on that limitation that we have forgotten all the other things we can do with our lives to make it better. You think that you don't have money, and so because you don't have money, there's nothing else you can offer. And you are sitting down on your ass and you are not contributing anything because your excuse is that I don't have money. Who told you that money is the only contribution you can make? Who told you? There are some of us, they are very amazing people in our lives, but they have imperfections. And because of their imperfections, sometimes we even throw them out. You don't want to be friends with that person. You don't talk to that person because of symptom back could be a one. But you have forgotten that although Kwame Pekasa and now Utantron kitten no, there are things that Kwame does for me that adds value to my life. And I should be able to overlook this flaw and focus on all the other good things that he does for me. What is your deformity? What is your imperfection? These imperfections do not negate your purpose. It does not diminish the value that God has placed on you. We need to focus on contribution rather than appearance. Focus on a person's contribution rather than appearance. Sometimes we see people, we judge people by their appearance. They don't look good enough. They are not tall enough. They are not handsome enough. They are not beautiful enough. So we put them in the waste bin. But I need all of us to remember, beyond what we see, beyond the physical, beyond the limitations and all the things that are visible to the human eye, that at the core of all of us, we are whole. Because we are not flesh, we are spirit beings. And whether somebody's leg has been cut off, or whether the person is a gossip, or the person is somebody who complains too much, we are all made in the likeness of God. So let's look beyond all these limitations and see the people like God sees them. Yes, the fault is there, the limitation is there. They can be some way, they can be difficult to live with. But close your eyes to that one and focus on what is good. Let us be like Santiago and see that yes, Esther is lame. But besides the fact that she is lame, she's a prayerful woman. She's a generous woman. She's somebody who loves with all her heart. And I would focus on that one. And that is how we wrap up for today. Please, the floor is open for comments, contributions, and suggestions before we start the service. Thank you for being a part of the discussion today. Evans, you are welcome. How are you doing?